from, the digital industry went to Napster, and that model was
Yeah.
not sustainable. And then people were complaining early on about Spotify, Apple taking advantage of the artist to a certain extent. It feels like maybe that's been more balanced.
It's definitely been more balanced, and in general, I think the music content, music selling and streaming ecosystem has become much more equitable for the entire community than it was back in the days of selling vinyl and CDs.
I love
You
it.
The major labels used to control sort of the end cap, they call it, which is like the place in the store at Tower Records where you get to see right when you walk in, you get to see the records. So there was a lot of things that kind of swayed people one way or another. And the accounting from record labels was not always clear with physical units. I
Yeah.
think it's much more fair, much more linear and clear now with digital music because every song. Every recording has its own what's called an ISRC code, which is sort of like a social security number for recording.
Right.
And that can be tracked throughout, streams and wherever a song goes, whether
Right.
it's licensed to something outside of Spotify and Apple, like a Peloton or a meditation app or something like that. You can really track streams in a way that's much more efficient than the old days when records used to fall off trucks, you know what I mean? And then you didn't get paid. Those were the old days.
The old, yeah, from the moonshine days.
Yeah, the record business used to be a trucking business, literally.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow, Tom, fun stuff. So that takes me forward to another segment of the market that's really exciting. There's been a lot of purchases made of, these artists and their libraries, right? Some huge names selling and buying and making tons of money in this area. I know Anti-Fragile Music, your company, is getting hotly involved in library purchasing.
Yeah, so I've had sort of several different periods of my career. I started off my first decade in the business, I worked in A&R for several different major labels. And then my second decade in the business, I started a management company. That's when I managed some of the acts that you mentioned.
Right.
And then around 2017 and 18, when I was noticing these acts, like I mentioned, getting a lot of streams on Spotify and Apple and whatnot, I decided to take some of the money that I'd saved from my management company and I started a record label. That was Anti-Fragile. We did really well sort of right out of the box. I think we'd done like $1 million in streaming income within a year. And that was the cue to me to like get out of management. I love artist management, but artist management entails literally flying around every week, going to Europe. I think I went to Europe like every other week for 11 years,
My
and
God.
that was really tough on my family.
Yeah.
And so it's exhausting. And also with artist management,